missing something in my diet. What could it be?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I
So,
so,
okay, okay, got you. Oh, um, you are now eating meat now because when we first did the interview, you was a vegetarian. You came
vegetarian. I was vegan.
vegan. What is the difference?
Vegan.
What's the difference?
So vegetarians eat animal products. They don't eat animal flesh. They eat animal products.
Okay,
So a vegetarian will eat eggs, will eat milk. I didn't eat any of those.
okay, got you. So you just straight, strictly a plant based diet, basically.
Correct.
Okay. So you changed that since then.
Correct.
What happened?
I became bedridden. And I said to myself, I must be missing something in my diet. What could it be?
Mm-hmm.
And I laid in that bed for a few days thinking about it. I said, you know what? I think there's some animal products I need here. Because I was organic. I was eating a broad range of vegetables and fruits and, you know, everything. So the only thing missing from my diet was animal products because I did not limit myself in terms of, oh, wouldn't eat this fruit or wouldn't eat that vegetable. No, no, no. I ate the whole range. And so I said, well, it must be animal products. All right. Or something from animals. Then I thought about it. I said, well, I know it's not steak. I know it's not animal flesh. Can't be animal flesh because I quit eating animal flesh because I felt sick. I didn't feel well. And I felt much better being vegetarian or vegan for quite a while. And so I knew that going back to eating muscle meat wasn't the answer.
Right.
In fact, at one point when I was vegan, I was feeling weak, and I said, "Well, maybe let me try a piece of fried chicken." So I took a bite into a chicken leg, chewed it up, swallowed it, and it didn't do anything to me. No energy. And so I knew the answer was not in the flesh meats. So I said, it must be someplace else. And I remember as a kid, I had really a lot of energy. I got around and ran up and down hills and just had no limit to the energy I had. I said, what did I eat back then that was an animal product that was not um, flesh meat? And so the answer will be obvious eggs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I started eating eggs and I had a little more energy, not enough to get up out of bed, but more energy. And I said, well, that's not it. And then I said, oh, mom used to make liver. I made liver, I ate liver. Round about the fourth bite, boom! It's like Popeye eating a spinach. Just popped right up out the bed and had a full day of activity and just felt great.
So that was the changing point. Just remembering what you ate as a child. And I could, you know what? That's
So I
exactly
was fortunate. I was fortunate because I had extremely healthy childhood.
right.
I am working with people now who were never healthy, not even as children. And
Right.
so they would not even be able to look back and say, hey, what was it I ate? And I talk to people now and I said, when was the last time you ate liver? And they'll say, I never ate it.
Mm.
Yeah. A
You
lifetime of no liver. Like, boy, you're behind. You got to catch up.
I was forced to eat liver. I didn't like it, but I ate it, you know. But I like it now more so than I did as a child. Maybe because I'm eating it for the reasons you put out there.
Not
Um,
only that, but you feel the difference.
yes, I can do a whole day. If I eat calf liver in the morning, that's
Hmm.
the whole day I'm good. I don't even, because usually I'll be
Exactly.
tired, I'll lay down, but I can go the
Right.
whole day of work without stopping and don't even realize it. So, yes, it does make a difference.
Yeah. That and thing is that's what I believe. If something doesn't make a difference, stop doing it. Life's too short. You only got 24 hours in a day. If something's not helping you, stop doing it. But two things are have happened that people don't accept that advice. They don't accept that. Number one, the civil rights movement. And I believe to this day, the civil rights movement is the worst thing that ever happened to Black people. It was the worst.
You're the
The
first
worst.
one you've heard say that like that, and I've said that to myself. People have practically wanted to cut my head off when I said that. How?
Oh, my mother is just upset about it because do you know before that civil rights movement, we couldn't stay in hotels? We couldn't eat at restaurants? Mom, the restaurant food is poison. Do you know how many folks got cured by having to stop eating at restaurants?
Right?
Really? So,
You always confused me. Why do you want to stay at a hotel with somebody that doesn't want you? Why do you want to eat in a restaurant where somebody doesn't want you in their restaurant? Why are you?
Because you feel powerful. You're making them do something they don't want to do. And you got that power, and the government's behind you. And so, with the civil rights movement, people believed falsely that the government cared about them,
No.
and they shared that American dream, which was really a nightmare, and they totally bought into it that the government cared about them, and whatever the government's given out, why by golly, it's good. And they bought into healthcare. I remember as a child, before the civil rights movement, black people believe that those doctors are out to kill us. They're out to kill us because we're black. Those doctors are killing us, and they're killing us, and they're killing us. What blacks did not realize is they were killing the white people as well. And the healthcare was simply bad news, period. It didn't matter what color your skin was.
Right.
But with the civil rights movement, healthcare was painted as a benefit, a positive thing that white people had, and if black people had it, black people would be better off. And so blacks bought into that. If the civil rights movement had never happened, then blacks who believed the healthcare system was deadly would have and already were communicating with whites, and they were kind of sharing notes here. White person, hey, I've had health care, my kids are vaccinated, and they're all stupid. Black person, oh, my kids are not vaccinated, they're pretty darn bright. And they would have figured it out that this is nothing genetic here.
Mm-hmm.
But with the civil rights movement, and especially very important to have reverse discrimination, where you said, okay, you have to have blacks in your school. You have to invite blacks to your upscale dinner party. And so then that puts the suspicion so that blacks and whites could never relate to each other on a person to person basis. Hey, you just invite me to this party because you think the government says so and it's going to look good, or do you really like me? So it totally poisoned relationships between the races, totally poisoned them. And for a good 30 years, I would say, at least 30 years. And it's just now that blacks and whites are trying to communicate with each other just as individuals. Like, hey, look, dude, here's my notes. This is what's happening in my life. What's happening in your life? Let's compare here and sort this out. And so, now, for example, whites who are being brutalized by the police are communicating with blacks who've been brutalized by the police.
That is true.
But as long as you paint it as black police brutality, then the whites can't share their notes, the blacks can't share their notes, and an effective plan can't be pursued
Right.
because each person has an inefficient, defective database.
Right. I would.
Blacks think only they were white, and whites are like, man, we're being ignored. There's a bigger problem here. And if the blacks and whites were able to communicate without this, poisonous environment created by the civil rights movement, where blacks think all whites hate them and the government's going to help them bully whites into being nice, and the whites think that all these blacks are being foisted into their positions because of government mandates.
Mm-hmm.
Without that, then they could say, wait a minute, this whole thing is that the problem here. How can you get justice when the judge is employed by the government and
Right.
works for the government?
Mm-hmm.
The defense lawyer, either he's appointed by the government, or even if you're paying top dollar for him, he's licensed by the government and beholden to the government. And the prosecutor is also
Beholden
employed
together.
by, beholden to the government. So you got nobody in that courtroom on your side.
Not one. You
Exactly.
for that guy.
And so, but that whole process was short circuited. So that thought never happened. That whole reasoning never happened. And the conversation never happened. And it wasn't until I got caught up in the system with them investigating me and taking my license away, I'm like, holy crap. They excluded all evidence that showed their claim was false.
Right.
And then when the claim still appeared preposterous, they changed it in midstream.
Right. Which is called duplicity, which is against the law too. Go ahead.
I was in an administrative process, which, by the way, is exempt from the law, from the Constitution, from everything, by the way. And again, if blacks and whites don't communicate, everything is, oh, it's racist, or they were persecuting me because I was black.
No.
If you put that back, then you would never determine that the system itself is intrinsically poisoned and not in the best interest of any individual, black or white, who enters that system. And for me, what really was helpful was I quickly dropped this whole, poor me black thing, right? I was like, forget this.
Right.
And I looked at what about the white folks who enter that system? What's happening to them? I said, holy cow, oh my God. They're being financially drained, devastated, emotionally crushed. Many of them were losing their mind, committing suicide.
Mm-hmm.
The process they were subjected to was every bit as abusive and negative as what I was subjected to. Now, my protection was that I lived before the civil rights movement. What does that mean? That means my father told me, ain't none of those systems, nothing of that stuff is right. It's all crooked, it's all a lie. The laws don't mean anything. It'll never be enforced when it's in your favor. So I didn't have that hardwire conditioning to
Right.
believe in the system so that when it turned against me, I would actually turn against myself.
Mm-hmm.
So when it turned against me, I was like, oh yeah, yeah, Dad told me they're all full of shit. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, 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 okay, yeah, yeah. This is what I was told about. Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. We're good, we're good, we're
You
good.
had recollection. You had that
Yeah,
to fall back on it. Especially
exactly.
the
So
whites, they live with a privilege well, a fake privilege that they think they
no,
have.
no, 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 don't. It's not privileged. Don't use that word because believe me, they are suffering more than blacks are. So when I was going to school, for example, when integration first started, I went to school with the children of business people, politicians, lawyers, and doctors. Those were
Right.
my classmates. And they were all damaged by their medical care. All these kids were compromised.
Mm.
Yes, they were in the best and brightest track, but they were compromised. They were forgetful, they were physically weak, they were fearful. They always had doctor's appointments. They had all these medications. They had physical, braces in their back because of their scoliosis. I had scoliosis, but guess what? I was black, so it was never diagnosed. We didn't go to the doctor. So I
Right.
couldn't even get offered scoliosis surgery. So I'm 64 and I've done just fine with my scoliosis. So that's another mistake that blacks make, that these whites have privilege. No, believe me, they are victims of the system in spades.
Right.
And they had to have the civil rights movement because the only way those people could get out or free themselves was by communicating with blacks on a person to person basis. In other
But I'll say this, if you're sitting in a place and you having problems and you've been going to this place for all these years and your financial problems and your depression hasn't gone away, then you are in the wrong place, I would say. Because in order to make a significant change, become a new person, you pretty much got to get rid of 80% of the things you're doing right now to see some changes in your life. 80%. In some cases more. That's why I told y'all 10x is better than 2x. They articulate that very well. We assume that we can hold on to this and hold on to that and still become successful people. That's an assumption. But the fact is, it's not true. Because if those things that who you are today and what you've been doing up until this point today, still you not where you need to be, then there's some changes that need to be made. And that's the key. Peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to everyone. This October the 27th, 2024, which sure happens to be my birthday. I have reached the double nickels. Double nickels. Wow. And at the same time, back on the 20th, my daughter turned 18. So I am feeling, look, I think I still look pretty good at this age. Yeah, I've tried to take care of myself as much as I can to keep myself feeling and young. I can still run up and down steps. I can still do my push-ups. I just did some this morning. I try to work out regularly and try to eat as good as possible. So yesterday morning, I woke up feeling inspired, and for a long time prior to yesterday morning, I had not practiced my getting up and meditating and just thinking about good things, being grateful. And I lost sight of how great that is. So I did that yesterday. My birthday reminded me. And I know that that could happen, right? You be on a roll, you're doing a certain routine, and then you get off track, and then you just forget about what's good for you. And you're distracted by life. So I woke up and I said, okay, I'm going to do something at 11 p.m., right prior to my birthday, and encourage people. Like, we had this whole thing. Well, I wrote down my aspirations and things like that, and my intentions. And we did something last. Oh, a few people got on. I appreciate all of those people that got on. Um, and participated. Beth got on and played the Stevie Wonder Happy Birthday song, which was, thank you for that. Um, so I was thinking, okay, well, if I want next year better than this year, I have to start now. A lot of times we want to wait to January 1st or January 1, I'm going to do this. But studies show the odds of you keeping that trend of whatever you planned is not going to stick. So what I'm saying, start now. It's October the 27th. Start right now, moving forward. Get in the practice of making good habits for yourself. I know some of you are just tired of running into the same old issues. Hey, you get motivated, you get started, you feel so inspired, and then it fades. Aren't you tired of that? I know some of you go through that. I go through that too. Like I said, I used to get up every morning and had a routine, and then I fell off the routine. I know I teach this stuff, but I'm not exempt from these issues happening to me. But this time, I'm going to be determined not to fall off my wagon, because I realize how great it is, how inspiring it is to motivate yourself. Because if you haven't noticed, not too many people is out there motivating you, right? Not too many people going out of their way to come up and say, "Hey, you're doing a great job. I really appreciate what you're doing." Now, I get a lot of that. Why? Because I'm out in the public and people say that. And I believe genuinely a lot of people mean it. But then there's a few that don't really mean. They just hit me up in the email. Hey man, I really appreciate you doing blah blah. But by the way, I got this problem. Can you help me with this? So they give me the praises, and then they want to take something. They want information, which is fine. And you can do that by going to akiemel.com and clicking the consultation button and pay for it if you want my advice. But some people try to sneak in there and get free, take up my time for free. And one thing I have, and I stopped doing it completely, because 100% of the time when someone hit me in the email, they had a issue. I'm 100% for this, and I broke my own rule. When I open up and I let them tell me their problems, and I don't charge them, and they'll say, "Hey man, give me your thing. I'll send you a donation." Never happens. It never happens. It never does. They get their problem somewhat fixed, and I never hear from them again. And I'm not now. I have some regular people that I've done that for. They have not done. I'm talking about strangers who come out of the blue. 100%. They don't. They don't get back. I mean, guess what? What's 100%? This is 100%. Eventually, somewhere down the line, they come back because that advice I gave them, they needed more. But then, hey, you got to pay. But anyway, so what was I talking about? Inspiring yourself in the morning. Be your own inspiration. Be your own cheerleader. You don't need anybody to pump you up, because Think about it. How many people are just walking up to you, pumping you up, and encouraging you? First of all, we should be doing that for each other. But unfortunately, we live in a system that taught us not to be like that. It taught us to be competitive. That's why you have tests and they grade you on everything. Y'all believe those tests was to teach to see what your aptitude was, how smart you was? No, those tests they gave you was to set you against your brothers and sisters so that you can be competitive to them against them so that y'all don't work together. That's what the purpose was. All right, I know in your home, yeah, it's teaching you how smart you can do. No, it's not. They don't care about how smart you are. This system doesn't care. It just cares that you know enough that you can be used for the benefit of keeping this machine going. College, regular education, all of it's part of a plan to farm out people to be more dependent on the system and how it works than your own system, your own home system. I just want you to know if the grocery stores and all of that shut down tomorrow, you have enough resources, family, that y'all could all work together and start growing some food and feeding yourself. The planet reproduces itself. I mean, look at the trees. I mean, look, I travel to many countries, and most of the countries I travel to, the food is growing on the trees everywhere. But for some reason, the people there feel like they're poor. This is the only country that I can't go and just pick a piece of fruit off of a tree. Y'all think that's by accident? No, it's to create dependence. Then they start putting, they hybrid them now. You can't even put you can't get the seeds. But even in the situation, if it's shut down now, you don't have to go to the grocery store and fight people for groceries. You start growing. You got dirt outside, start growing stuff. Start heading out into the woods and looking for food. If you got arms, I'm using arms, not firearms, arms. That's another lesson I'll teach you. What's the difference between arms and firearms? Arms. Constitution said arms. You can go out there and hunt for your food. There's food. Stock up on some lighters and matches and all that stuff. You'll be fine. Yes, be prepared, yes. But you'll be fine if you start working together. But because the system got you so dependent on what it can provide, far as grocery stores and places to go get food, we never look to ourselves to be self-sufficient in that area. That's the last place we look. Last place we look is to work with each other. And this is why when a system does collapse, eventually it will, because history says systems don't last, governments don't last long. They will collapse eventually, somehow, some way, or they will transform. This country had a start and it will have a finish, most likely, sooner or later. Who knows? But if we live in a space of being self-sufficient, we don't have to worry about it. This will just be another system. We won't have to worry about it. Anyway, I think, what was the title that I put the show? Consciousness is your only reality? That's what I put. I put consciousness is your only reality. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. Consciously, we believe we need all of these outside sources for our sustenance and covering. But God gave us the ability to do our own thing. It's just that we decided to believe and go for these things that we believe are more convenient. But the more convenient things are, the more imprisoned you are by those convenience. We are supposed to work for our own so that we can appreciate it more. So I appreciate everybody on listening and sharing in and you know, hearing these messages. You don't have to listen to these things. You can go listen somewhere else. I hope you're benefiting. My only goal is to see everybody get what they want. Not get what I want, not get what my mama want, my daddy want, what you want. Because what you want is the only thing that's going to make you happy. That's why I recommend that book, 10X is better than 2X, because it talks about that. Go after once. All right, consciousness is the only reality. Um, and it says this is going to be a very practical course. Lesson 1. Therefore, I hope that everyone in this class has a very clear picture of what he desires. So this is coming from a book, a 1948 classroom lesson by Neville Goddard. Same book I always read every day. Or every Sunday. So it says, therefore, I hope that everyone in the class have a very clear picture of what he desires. For I am convinced that you can realize your desires by the technique you will receive here this week in these 5 lessons. So it's 5 lessons. So today we're going to talk about get through lesson 1 if I can. Let me see. It's kind of extensive. I may not get through the whole thing. It'll be part 2 next week. I'm gonna start really stay consistent when I stay on something to see it through the end. But sometimes the spirit just be driving me in different directions, and I just go with that. That you may receive the full benefit of these instructions, let me state now that the Bible has no reference at all to any persons who ever existed or to any event that ever occurred upon the earth. The ancient storytellers were not writing history, but an allegorical picture lesson of certain basic principles, which they clothed in the garb of history. And they adapted these stories to the limited capacity of a most uncritical and credulous people. I am in agreement that a lot of the stories is just allegories, allegorical, but have practical use for today. Because when you start to research names and stuff, and like, okay, these English names in a place where there's African descendants, it starts to get really like, okay, this doesn't make sense. How do we get these names? And you got to think, when you're creating new societies and you have a school of thought, a religious school of thought, it's only common sense that the leaders and the controllers of that time is going to adopt a story to make it work for the people of that time. Like, for instance, a lot of your holidays, Christmas, Easter, Halloween, are have origins in pagan religions, right? Easter, Ishtar, right? That's fertility god. Christmas, sun god worship, right? Winter solstice. We won't get all of that deep into it. And then well, I'll say that when you see the pictures of Christ, it's always some glowing thing, right? Right? Showing you, they're telling you that's the sun. S-U-N. But so they use a lot of symbolism, allegorical situations to get the point out. So I agree with that. Throughout the centuries, we have mistakenly taken personifications for persons, allegory for history, the vehicle that conveyed the instructions for the instruction, and the gross first sense for the ultimate sense intended. The difference between the form of the Bible and its substance is as great as the difference between a grain of corn and the life germ within the grain. As our assimilative organs discriminate between food that can be built into our system and food that must be discarded, or do our awakened intuitive faculties discover beneath allegory and parable parable the psychological life germ of the Bible. And feeding on this, we too cast off the form which conveyed the message. The argument against histor- historicity of the Bible is too lengthy. Consequently, it is not suitable for inclusion in this practical psychological interpretation of the stories. Therefore, I will waste no time in trying to convince you that the Bible is not a historical fact. So he's not going to argue with nobody about facts of the Bible. Tonight, I will take four stories and show you what the ancient storytellers intended that you and I should see in these stories. The ancient teachers attached psychological truths to phallic and solar allegories. They did not know as much of the physical structure of man as do modern scientists. Neither did they know as much about the heavens as do our modern astronomers. But the little did they know, they used wisely and they built phallic and solar frames to which they tied the great psychological truths that they had discovered. In the Old Testament, you will find much of the phallic worship. Because it is not helpful, I am not going to emphasize it. I shall only show you how to interpret it. Before we come to the first of the psychological dramas that you and I may use in a practical sense, let me state the two outstanding names of the Bible. The one and I translate as God or Jehovah, and the one we call his son, which we have as Jesus. The ancients spelled these names by using little symbols. The ancient tongue called the Hebraic language was not a tongue that you exploded with the breath. It was a mystical language never uttered by man. Those who understood it as mathematicians understand symbols of higher mathematics. It is not something people use to convey thought, as I know now use the English language. It's like the Egyptians, they use hieroglyphics, symbols, shapes. That was the language. Today, we use words on a piece of paper. It depends on what country you're from. You can read from left to right or right to left or up and down. It just depends on where you're from, how it's written. They said that the God's name was spelled Jod, He, Vau, He, Jodhevauhe. I shall take these symbols and in our normal, down to earth language, explain them in this manner. The first letter, Jod, in the name of God is a hand or a seed, not just a hand, but the hand of the director. If there's one organ of man that discriminates and sets him apart from the entire world of creation, it is his mind. It is his hand. What we call a hand in the anthropod ape is not a hand. It is used only for the purpose of conveying food to the mouth or to swing from branch to branch. Man's hand fashions its molds. You cannot really express yourself without the hand. This is the builder's hand, the hand of the director. It directs and molds and builds within your world. The ancient storytellers called the first letter Jod, Jod, the hand or the absolute seed out of which the whole creation will come. To the second letter, He, he, they gave the symbol of a window. A window is an eye. The window is the house, what the eye is to the body. The third letter is Vau, vow. They called a nail. A nail is used for the purpose of binding things together. The conjunction, and in the Hebraic tongue, is simply the third letter or the vowel. If I want to say man and woman, I put the vowel in the middle. It binds them together. That's coincidental to use vow, VOW. The fourth and last letter, HE, is another window of I. In this modern down to earth language of ours, you can forget eyes and windows and hands and look at it in this manner. You are seated here now. This first letter, Jod, is your I amness, your awareness. You are aware of being aware. That is the first letter. Out of the awareness, all states of awareness come. The second letter, He, called an I, is your imagination, your ability to perceive. You imagine or perceive something which seems to be other than self, as though you were lost in reverie and contemplated mental states in a detached manner, making the thinker and his thoughts separate entities. The third letter vowel is your ability to feel you are that which you desire to be. As you feel you are it, you become aware of being it. To walk as though you were what you want to be is to take your desire out of the imaginary world and put the vow upon it. You have completed the drama of creation. I'm aware of something, then I become aware of actually being that of which I was aware. The fourth and last letter in the name of God is another He, another I, meaning the visible objective world which constantly bear witness of that which I am conscious of being. You do nothing about the objective world. It always molds itself in harmony with that which you are conscious of being. That's important because that right there say you do nothing about the objective world. It always molds itself in harmony with that which you are conscious of being, according to your awareness. In simpler terms, it's just like you could be looking for your keys, you can't find them, right? But they're in your hand. You're not aware. So what is happening there? It's in your hand the whole time, but you're looking everywhere else. So your awareness is creating the reality that you have lost your keys when you really did. Now let's connect that to how we are today, how people operate. This system has given you a programming that has made you unaware of your true power. By adopting this system and the things they want you to do, push you where they put directions that you're being pushed in, you're lost. You don't, wait a minute, who am I in this world? This is why depression is high. People don't feel like they fit in. And it's just a feeling, an idea. And the only reason why they don't feel like they fit in because they're trying to fit into a program they were never designed to be a part of. That's simple, but yet hard to conceive, right? To perceive it. It's that simple. The reason why you don't feel like you fit in is because you wasn't supposed to fit in. That's not where you belong. That's not where your thoughts and your consciousness belong. Remember they was trying to figure out, I said this a few times, genius in children? And most of the children exhibited genius. Just about all of them exhibited genius at a very early age. And it wasn't until they went into the indoctrination camps called school systems, they lost that genius. Where did the genius go? Did it go somewhere? No, it didn't go anywhere. It just got suppressed by bad programming. It got overwritten. So it's not too late to undo these programs because your consciousness has been controlled, whether you want to realize it or not. You have been deliberately given a program that doesn't work for you. And once you come to that knowledge and understanding, you'll say, wait a minute. This is why I feel this way. This is why I feel out of place. I'm not supposed to be here. This is not for me. Waking up every day, letting some guy say, hey, you need to be here this time, and then if you don't get that time, he wants to have a speech about it. Hey, you're late, right? This is the fourth time you've been late this week, sir. We're gonna have to give you a coaching. We're gonna put you on probation. You know what it is. You don't want to get there. You just getting there because why? Because you need to do it because you have those bills to pay. And that's the programming that they told you you need to do all of this because you have those bills to pay. You got responsibilities. Am I telling you not to be responsible? No. What I'm telling you is to rethink your way you're doing things to make your life better. Because the current state of consciousness is not working. Just imagine that you can get up and decide what you want to do on a daily basis, and all your needs are still being met. Do you realize if you go after what you want, your needs will be met tenfold instead of going after you coming from the perspective I got a need to do because you're only going to get a little, just enough, because that's all you're working for, just enough. It's about the consciousness, is what how you're seeing things, how you relate to your environment. Your environment is adjusting to your consciousness. So, with that being said, you can control it. That's why the Bible said, continue to renew your mind. If the current situation is not working, renew your mind to make a better situation for yourself. And always see your situation as good and be thankful for it. Even if it's in the turmoil, even if it's in your relationship, even that bad relationship can turn out for your good. It's going to teach you something. It's going to teach you how strong you are. It's going to teach you how patient you are. It's also going to teach you how negative you can be. Because through the opposition that you face with people will show you who you are, how you present yourself. People sometimes react to other people's bad actions by doing something bad. The real transition, the real transcendence, where you can transcend, is not reacting to them at all and not allowing them to make you stoop to their level. And the only reaction that you should have is to get away from that situation. Nah, I'm not going to participate with them in that bad behavior. Bad situations keep happening because there's a giver and there's a receiver. That's how they happen. That this is a flow. And sometimes one person is the giver and the other person the receiver. And then it flips. Why? Because the other person reacts to that, what they got received, in a negative way to give it back. And guess what? Cycle keeps repeating itself. Repeat, repeat. And you know why I'm always there? Because you haven't you haven't learned. The people that are in your life right now that you're having the most problems with are your greatest teachers. They're there to teach you something. What? That jerk of a boss? Yes. You're being taught something. You don't really think about it. You don't really learn anything from people you're always getting along with, for the most part. You don't learn nothing. No, it just feel good. You get a good feeling. But you really learn from the tough situations. It really changes you. It makes you shift. It makes you get out of a comfort zone. Like, wait a minute, this is so everybody chasing comfort is only going to get one thing, a boring life. And they're not going to get too much success out of that. It's when you stir things up that things change. A seed can't become a tree unless that that plant comes out of it and breaks the shell. It starts off as a seed, gets planted in darkness, and then it next you know you got a sprout. And then it becomes a tree that produces more seeds. All of that process takes agitation, time. And that's what's happening to you right now. You're being agitated. If you're going through some tough times, you're going through some agitation. You're about to reach your next level of growth. The only thing that's going to stunt your growth is that you're not willing to accept that that's what it's doing. But back to this. You are told this is the name by which all things are made, and without it, there is nothing made that is made. The name is simply what you have now as you are seated here. You are conscious of being, aren't you? Certainly you are. You are also conscious of something that is other than yourself, the room, the furniture, the people. So this is just a lesson on being mindful of what you're thinking. You have healthy thoughts, you have positive thoughts, I can promise you, if you keep your thoughts mostly positive, you'll get mostly positive results. I think it's virtually impossible not to have negative thoughts creep in. It's just, what do you do with the negative thoughts when they do creep in? That's, we dealing with a world where negativity is presented to us all the time. Now, whether we choose to adopt those or contract with that negative thought and hold on to it, then that's up to us. Maybe you do not want to be other than what you are or to own what you see, but you have the capacity to feel what it would be like were you now other than what you are. As you assume that you are that which you want to be, you have completed the name of God, the Jod He Vow He. The final result, the objectification of your assumption, is not your concern. It will come into view automatically as you assume the consciousness of being it. So basically, this is saying whatever you desire, what do you want? Be conscious of it. I'm not going to go any further than this. We'll continue next week because it's 10:45. Your consciousness is important. What you watch, who you talk to, what you're reading, all is having an effect on you. And I keep saying, everything you did up until this moment right now is what the thoughts is what you're receiving. These are the results. What you have right now is a result of what you did before, what you thought about, what you're holding on to. And I know some of you realize that you got to let go of some things, but why aren't you letting it go? What is it? Are you addicted to whatever it is? It's not for me to decide what it is. It's up to you. What is it you holding on to that's keeping you from getting to the next phase of your success? What is it you holding on to that's preventing you from reaching that wealth? What is it? I had to ask myself, what is it preventing me from getting to this? I want to be over here, but I'm here. I'm stuck right here. I feel like I haven't really gone. What is it? And I realized what I was talking about, 80% of the things I'm doing now, I got to change it. Got to stop it. 100%. I got to stop those things and get back into focusing mainly on the mission. Anyway. All right, let's see what the chat is saying. Where did I leave off? We have In Lavita says, peace to all of you that's listening. Indie Circle says, peace, my brother. Happy born day, big bro. Thank you. Thank you. DJ B Thunder. That's me saying thank you to everyone. What? Okay, for you, Akeem. Happy day. Thank you. Congratulations on the big 55. Yeah. Son of the ones you can say happy birthday. And do you have someone asked me, do you have any basketball still in you? If so, we got to play sometime. I still got some basketball, but I get winded quicker. I still got it. Here it is. I got it in my consciousness, but my physical got to catch up to the consciousness. Okay. I'll be having moves in my head, but my body be like, oh, hold on. It be dragging me. It's a lag. I'm getting really big lag on that. And I haven't bounced a ball in like, wow, over a year? Yeah. Maybe more than that. Mother Nature supplies all I need, food and medicine. Yeah. You're right. Arms, the right to bear arms show not being friends, that is deep. Yeah, the Constitution said not to bear arms, not firearms. See, there's a trick in the wordery. I'll break that down on the show. Jody Stickamo say greetings. Lucan Apple says happy name day, brother. Mine passed yesterday. Oh, happy birthday to you. So you're on the 26th. Okay. DJ OJ Almighty, great topic today. Great question. What is holding you back? Yeah, what is holding you back? And that's a question you have to really shut it down and everything down and blank your mind out and just say, what's holding you back? If you have to look into a mirror, what is holding me back? Why I'm being held back? But here's the trick. You're not being held back. That's just an idea. Nothing's holding you back. The only thing holding you back, if there's such a thing, is the idea that you're being held back. That's it. Everyone in the chat, hit the thumbs up. Appreciate it. Yeah, hit them thumbs up. Happy 55, Road Warrior. Thank you, Road Warrior. Appreciate you. All right, everyone. 10:49. It's almost 11. I'm about to catch this Indian restaurant that I like eating at. So me and my daughter can go there for lunch. Then I'm gonna come back and get back on my meditation. Now remember, tomorrow is that webinar, driver's license webinar. Tomorrow. And I'm gonna have a special bonus in there. And it relates to those jobs and those W-4s and W-2s. And I did a consultation Friday that gave me the inspiration. So I said I'll include it with the driver's license webinar. So basically, you're going to have two templates. You're going to have one on how to rebut these people when they try to shut you down from correct your nationality. And then you're going to have another template to shut down or to rebut this whole W-4, filling that out, and them taking your bread. And this is actually coming from an older teaching. Like when I was on Hindsight, this was talked about, but it never was really explained how to use it effectively. Now I'm going to show you how to use it effectively. I'm just glad I'm thankful I had that consultation. So I'm going to include that. I'm going to send an email out how to get that FICA, that Social Security money. Stop them taking that out your check. All right, y'all. Once again, be mindful of what you're thinking. And also go back and revisit all the stuff you believe to be true. Because really, honestly, most of the stuff we've been taught is not 100% accurate. Because remember, none of us was there. Everything's about hearsay. You know, I wasn't there. I'm just going off what somebody told me. Even that Holy Bible. I know that's a tough thing. You don't want to, it's not considered disrespect. What it is you have to realize that it has a copyright on it. Man has touched it, so you have to assume these brothers have tampered with it. These people tampered with it. Because I have over here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Bibles sitting right here alone. And then I have 6, my big one up there. And then downstairs I have a few more different versions, and they all be reading different. So if there's writing them different, and then somebody says they want the King James, and this one likes this, they're gonna come up with different interpretations. But I'm gonna tell you something. We're all different. And the word is gonna have a different meaning for you than it is for me. Because the path that I need to get on to get to the right place is gonna be different from yours. Because I'm experiencing life differently. Like I said last week, people have an opinion of you, right? So that means there's hundreds of different versions of you living inside of someone else's head. But the only true version of you is you. Your belief system. And here's the thing. A lot of the versions that we see of ourselves, what we believe about ourselves is false. Some of us don't love ourselves enough to believe that their divinity in the flesh, that you're divine. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's no defects. What I got? What the Bible says I'm a sinner. And it's that line of reasons that keep people stuck in a depressed mindset because they believe something wrong with them. How about this? Believe something is right with you. Even if things don't look good, you're not accepting things are not going great. Something is right with you. The simple fact that you realize that something's right with you is going to make everything right. There's nothing wrong but the idea that something is wrong. And this is what this system promoted, to teach you that something is wrong and you need to fix and you need to be graded and you need to live up to something to catch up, be like this and all of this stuff. And you're on this hamster wheel. Don't it feel like that? Going to church, you feel like you're feeling good briefly, and then you go back, man. Oh, I'm back to where I started. Oh, I fell off. Why? Why does that happen? Why do you feel like you're on this hamster wheel? You never can get to the goal or the prize because you shouldn't be on that hamster wheel in the first place. You should be already in a space of knowing that you are the divine manifestation of God. And once you realize that, because the Bible's made it clear, these are things where I do agree. Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow has its concerns of it today. Everything is taken care of. Knowing that you are already taken care of. Things, your bills are paid, everything's taken care of. It's the simple idea that things are not done or things are not taken care of. It's a simple idea that you're not okay, that you're not divine, that's causing the problems, causing the issues. Just believing in the false idea that things are not good. All right. With that being said, peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to everyone. Have a good rest of your day. And it was all about the parables. It was all about the separation of, just in a general sense, the separation and weeding out the weeds from the good from the wheat. And a lot of times we feel like we could help people. And some people just not willing to be helped. And guess what? Some people is not of the same stock. They may look like you, walk like you, just have the similar appearances, but they're not of the same ancestral background. There is two distinct people on this planet. There's your people that are good, basically, and that's most people. There's people that's just straight up evil and don't care about doing anything good for anyone else but themselves and furthering their agenda. We have to come to that realization that that is the case and that you're not going to fix these people. But how do you know who these people are? Simple. By the fruit they bear. What are they bearing? What production? Like, there's people that will get out here and teach stuff to people and they've never had any experience. I was actually watching a video of a young lady in an interview and she was talking about she's going to teach people how to be millionaires. And she had just only made $70,000 that year. But she was starting up classes to teach people how to be millionaires. And she really, I'm going to be a millionaire. Okay, that's good that you have that goal, but you can't teach anybody how to do something you haven't accomplished. I can only teach you as far as the level of money I've ever made. Just quite a bit. But can I teach you how to make $1 billion? Even multiple millions? Can I teach you how to do that? No, because I haven't gotten there yet. I'm getting there. I'm there. I got to see myself there. But I ain't going to sit here and tell you, hey, I'm going to show you how to make all these millions, and I ain't did it. And this is what I'm talking about. There's people that are just interested in just making money off of whatever they can make money off, which is great. But what's not great is teaching. It's called I call it being a false prophet or false teacher. And it's a lot of that. And interesting enough, a lot of people like listening to people who teach from a place of theory and guesswork. They love it. And they get all the followers. That's what they're talking about, that road that's so wide. It's basically everybody finds that false road. A lot of people find that and they enjoy it.